For the perfectionist Pat Riley and the overhauled Knicks, the mission this season was to rise to the top of the East. But halfway to playoff time and sitting atop of their division, New York still finds itself chasing the Bulls. Kevin Lockery and Miami have had to overcome early season holdouts and injuries, but now feel that this team can return to its playoff form of a year ago. Tonight, the Heat will be turned on and gunning for its third straight as they host the Atlantic Division leading New York Knicks. Coming up next on TNT. Welcomes you to South Florida in the Miami Arena. The sold-out crowd has come to see the Heat. 4-2 in their last 6 games, taking on the New York Knicks. 7-3 in their last 10. Hello again, everybody. I'm Ron Thulin. These are two teams that came into the 92-93 season with high expectations. The Miami Heat made the playoffs last year. They were looking to improve on that, but they find themselves 5 games off last year's pace. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks, they have visions of championships. But last year's pace, well, it's the same as it is this year right now. Record's the same. Joining me tonight, Doug Collins. And Doug, Pat Riley says, don't judge this team by the first half of the season, but the next month for both teams, very important.
Well, Ron, when you look at their schedules, Miami has to prove that they're a playoff team again. In the month of February, they have that opportunity because they have a very favorable schedule. Steve Smith is back. They're in good spirits at this point in time. They feel like they're playing well. For New York, the importance of getting their offense together. Their defense has been tremendous. They've got to start scoring points. They know they can stop people. The offense has been the problem.
Well, Doug, you talked about the lineup. This is only the 3rd time this year that Kevin Lockery has had the luxury of using the lineup that got him into the playoffs, and you mentioned the key in Steve Smith.
Well, Steve Smith is one of these guys that with his confidence and with his enthusiasm, he makes his teammates better. Brian Shaw teaming with the backcourt. They have a big backcourt right now, but the guy who's benefited has been Glenn Rice. The last 7 ball games averaging 26 points a game, coming off a 45-point effort against Atlanta in the last ball game.
Now you talk about the New York Knicks. You talk about Patrick Ewing. He missed last night's game against Golden State. He will be playing tonight. They're the #1 defensive team in the league, but they are 2nd worst on offense. But one player who is not the worst, that's John Starks. He is very hot.
Well, when we talked to Kevin Lockery today, he said this is the guy that we've got to control. We've got to go at him before he comes at us. Playing exceptionally well over the last 12 games. You see what he's averaging. Shooting percentage is up. He's an explosive player that can really ignite this New York Knicks team. Also, the play of Charles Smith on the front line, very important to this New York team. Those are 2 guys that can give them offense to go with Patrick Ewing.
Well, Doug, these 2 teams have already met 1 time this year, and the New York Knicks won that meeting. In fact, they have won the last 5 games with the Miami Heat. Coming up next, it'll be Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. Then we'll come back to it, Miami, for the lineups and the tips. Stay with us. The Knicks and the Heat next.
The NBA on TNT is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Jeep and Eagle, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. And by AT&T, proud sponsor of the NBA Long Distance Shootout.
Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. In the West, coached by Paul Westphal, it's a dream team starting 5. Barkley and Malone at the forwards, David Robinson in the middle, Drexler and Stockton in the backcourt. Another member of that U.S. Olympic team, Larry Bird, spent last night at Boston Garden. Celtics weren't playing, but the Garden was packed as Boston honored its living legend.
But could you imagine being on the parquet floor down here for the greatest organization in the world and having 15,000 people out chanting Larry, Larry, Larry? Now, don't you think that would make you proud?
That tribute lasted 2.5 hours. Bird was worth every second of that. We'll have more on that celebration at halftime tonight, along with all the other Friday night NBA hoops. And in just a minute, we'll send you back to Miami Arena, where the Knicks take on the Heat on TNT.
the seats are taken at Miami Arena tonight as we look at the Jeep Eagles starting lineups. And first of all, you see Patrick Ewing starting along with John Starks at the guard position. How do the matchups look, Doug?
Well, again, we talked to him a little about the opening. Charles Smith is going to have a very difficult time with Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice likes to come off screens. Charles Smith, probably one of the weakest parts of his game, is trying to chase small forwards on the floor. And again, the matchup of Brian Shaw against John Starks, who's been red hot and who they're going to try to control here early. They do not want him to get off to a great start.
Pat Riley in his second season at New York, 78-46 is marked with the Knicks as they have won 6 of their last 7 games. And the always dapper Kevin Lockery, his team comes in with a record of 14-27, 5 off last year's pace. And we see the big guy, Patrick Ewing, did not play last night against Golden State because of a hyperextended knee. The first game he missed in 2 years. And the officials tonight, Daryl Garrison, Ted Bernhardt, and Terry Durham.
Now, Ron, the silver lining to that game last night was the fact that Charles Smith sort of shook his little slump, and also Rolando Blackman shot very well. So let's see with Patrick Ewing back in the lineup if those guys can maintain what they did last night without him.
On top, Ewing will take the 19-footer. Loose ball. Ball belongs to the Heat.
Rebounding a real key. New York, an excellent rebounding team. Charles Oakley, Charles Smith, both very good offensive rebounders.
Rice on top to Long, working around to Steve Smith, wearing the leg brace on the right knee. Down low, Ewing can't get a hand on it. Glenn Rice, his first 2 of the game, had 45 2 nights ago against Atlanta.
Well, we can see early they're going to go to Glenn Rice.
Oakley from the outside has been averaging 10 the last 4 games. The putback.
Offensive rebound, and we've talked about it. Now, the game plan for Miami is when the ball goes into the post, either Charles Smith, Patrick Ewing, or Anthony Mason, Miami will double team. That will leave a lot of offensive rebound opportunities. So let's see if Miami can clean up the boards.
Shot clock at 10. Still a lot of time remaining. Rice facing up on Smith. Loses the handle. Can't get control. First turnover of the basketball game. Tied up at 2. He played about a minute and a half. Cycling with the rebound. He's averaging 11 a game. Shaw will pull the trigger. Not known for his outside shooting, which has been one of the raps on Brian Shaw throughout the years.
See, in this Miami lineup, they're a much improved rebounding team with Brian Shaw and Steve Smith. Those are 2 big guards that can both defensive rebound. Tonight, they're going to have to go back and get their share of rebounds.
First Knick turnover. But one thing that Kevin Lockery stressed today in practice is pressuring that man right there, John Starks, wanting to double team and really making them shoot from the perimeter.
Absolutely, and also pressure their guards. They feel like that they can disrupt the New York offense, and they'll get out and get after Starks and Anthony, not let them come down and execute their half-court plays.
They want to get into Starks' face before he gets into theirs. Smith, a big height advantage over Starks. Cycling, can't use his quickness as the shot clock is at 5. They'll get another chance, and they do with Brian Shaw.
There's the size of Brian Shaw, the offensive rebound. So Greg Anthony's going to have to make sure he goes back and gets a body on him. Brian Shaw does not, you do not want him to hurt you offensively, and he can do that with the offensive boards.
Ewing, the spin move, the high archer won't go. Rebound controlled by the Heat. They lead at 4-2, 9:39 left to play the first.
Great look by Steve Smith. Now, Ronnie Cycli runs the floor probably as well as any big guy in the NBA, so Patrick Ewing's going to have to make sure that he gets back defensively. Cycli with an easy score.
Starks pulls the trigger from way off the outside, doesn't get it. New York now just 1 of 6. Smith kicking it around out on Rice, the 3 on the way. Nothing but net.
You can just see the confidence that Glenn Rice has right now in his shot. So smooth on the delivery, the execution. And you watch Steve Smith, the enthusiasm. This is only his 8th game back. He's excited to play basketball once again.
Starks again. This time he drains it. Starks averaging 16 a game this year. But in the last 12 games, he's averaged better than 24 points a contest. Shaw working his advantage. Anthony gets a hand on it.
I don't think Brian Shaw ever got good control of it. It looked like it was in the palm of his hand on the way up, and Anthony with an easy shot block.
Ewing, he'll take it from 17. He drains it, but still, I'm not sure Pat Riley wants Patrick Ewing taking 17-footers all night.
You know, if you look at the post players in the NBA today, they're doing more of that because of all the double teaming in the post. You're seeing the David Robinsons and the Patrick Ewings and the Hakeem Olajuwons, the Brad Daugherty step out and shoot a lot of jump shots now.
Pick and roll. We've got an illegal defense called on New York. I think Charles Smith was stuck in no man's land. Let's take a look at Glenn Rice. You talked about the confidence. Steve Smith has really helped this young man's confidence.
Well, Charles Smith cannot leave him. Glenn Rice is a tremendous spot-up shooter. If anything, you've got to get up on him and force him to put the ball on the floor and then have someone come over and give you help. You let him stand out there, shoot the ball, he will shoot you right out of the game.
Shooting 45% from the arc the last 11 games.
Well, he has 77 three-point field goals. To put that in perspective, that's more than 7 teams in the NBA, including New York, who has only 72.
Well, John Starks has whistled for the foul. That is his first-team foul, first foul of the game. 7:54 left in the first. Heat lead it by 3.
Steve Smith trying to post up against Starks.
Smith, every bit of 6'7", 6'8". The fall away. Shooter's roll.
So they're going to have to make an adjustment. If New York does not double team him, that's a good option for them the entire night.
Ewing tries to take it off the rim. The little reverse goes down. Patrick with 4.
Second shots just compromise your defense. You can play good initial defense. If you don't rebound the ball, Ron, it does not matter.
Wild shot. Shaw works underneath. The reverse won't go. Good effort by Rice. Puts it right back. 6 of 9 now from Miami from the field. Rice has 7. The Heat lead it by 5 as we close in on 7 minutes of the first. Smith now posting up on Rice. Got a hand of it. Tried to make the save. Stepped out of bounds. And we have our first time out of the game. 6:56 remaining to be played in the first. The fans like it. The Heat lead it by 5. The Miami Heat are hot right now as they lead it by 5, and they have really begun to heat up the last 7 basketball games, which coincides with the return of Steve Smith, we might add.
Well, let's talk about a few things. The point differential actually is 6-point difference. Rebounding, 6 rebound difference. Field goal percentage for their opponents, you see, down 3%. When you look at the rebounding, Ron, the last 2 ball games, the Heat have out-rebounded their opponents 55-36. So that tells you with that big guard lineup out there, with Grant Long, with Glenn Rice, with Cycling, some of the guys they can come off the bench with, they can be a fine rebounding team if they make the effort to get to the boards, and they're going to have to do that tonight against New York. Again, it's going to be important for Brian Shaw and for Steve Smith to rebound the basketball tonight.
Talked about the rebounding. They've set season highs the last 2 games of 55 and 56. Ewing right over Ronnie Cycling. Ewing now with 6 of the 10 points for New York. Ewing has 6 points to go along with 4 rebounds. The knee obviously not bothering at this point. Somebody has to be open. Knicks picking up the intensity on defense. Shot clock at 5. That'll be a whistle and a foul, and that'll be, I think, a legal defense on Charles Oakley.
It looked like Charles was starting to come down and double team. Got caught for the illegal defense.
That is Ewing getting his 6th point of the game, and because it's the second illegal D, they'll be shooting the technical. And it'll be Rice. Pat Riley
not very happy with the
but he had to be happy. He was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, believe it or not, back in 1967. Tex Schramm wanted him to be a cornerback. He said, I played quarterback. He said he had no intention of trying to tackle guys like Cookie Gilchrist and Jim Brown. Had a whistle and a foul. Would have been a good tight end.
Again, we see the problems that Charles Smith at 6'10" has trying to get through screens. The one thing you do not want him to do is foul the jump shooter about 1 step inside the 3-point line. So I'm sure that Pat Riley will say, Charles, good defense, get a hand up. If he makes that shot, fine, but let's not foul him out there shooting jump shot.
Rice, what a night Wednesday night. 45 points to go along with 14 rebounds, and what a 4th quarter he had in that basketball game.
And shot 17 for 22 for the game. Steve Smith had 10 assists, only played 25 minutes, so they had production from a lot of different people in that particular game. Probably their best finish that they've had all season. That was a much closer game than the 20-point score indicated. Atlanta only scored 13 points in the fourth quarter. A full court pressure defense here by Miami. Probably just trying to slow New York up a little bit.
Almost threw it away. Starks has the double team. That is exactly what Kevin Lockery wanted this afternoon in the shoot-around.
What this does also, too, it takes you out of your offensive rhythm. It does not allow you to come down and just execute your offense.
Anthony Cycling may have gotten a piece of it, but Greg Anthony, the former star of UNLV, drops his first two. So that stops a string of 6 straight points by Patrick Ewing for New York. Nice move, Rodney Cycling.
Charles Oakley got there. He just was not big enough in terms of getting up to defend the shot to go against Ronnie Cycli, who's a very athletic big man, almost a power forward the way he runs the floor.
Inside, Smith doesn't get the roll. We have a whistle and a foul. Let's take a look at Ron Cycli against Charles Oakley.
Well, you're going to see the roll here to the basket, and Oakley's there, but he just cannot defend the shot. Charles is not a shot blocker. He tries to strip it on the way up, and when he got the ball in scoring position, there was no one there to defend. So the New York comes back and they said, what we're going to do is we're going to post Charles Smith against Glenn Rice and take advantage of his size. So where Rice is using screens to get open, Charles Smith is posting.
Look at the numbers on Charles Smith, one of 6 veteran players who have seen their scoring average this year be well below their career scoring average. A lot of sacrifices for the team concept.
I think also Charles Smith is really trying to get acclimated to a new position.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a guy that's played around the basket, and a guy that the Clippers went to. He was their go-to guy. That's not the case here, so he has to look for his shots elsewhere.
Pat Riley says they're going to reevaluate the small forward position. He may end up at the power forward. Smith throws it into the cheap seats, and with 5:19 remaining in the first, the Heat still lead it by 4, but the Knicks have the ball. Ewing facing up. Here comes the double team. Quick rotation by Miami. Not quick enough for Anthony, who hits the 2.
Charles Oakley did a nice job. He had the jump shot. He knew that's a shot that he does not want to live on, taking that outside jumper, so he made the quick pass, swinging it to the open Greg Anthony.
Anthony, who's averaged 9 points and 7 assists since he took over the starting point guard spot from Doc Rivers, who had a shoulder injury. Shot clock at 5. Heat having trouble with the handle. Shot clock at 3. Have it stripped by Oakley. Kevin Lockery wanted a call, didn't get it.
Well, Grant Long had the open shot and tried to get a better one. When he did, he was stripped of the ball again by Charles Oakley, who has quick hands. He will deflect the shot on the way up. He will not block it once you get it up in the shooting territory.
Ewing, quick. Cycli gets a piece of it. Ewing wanted the foul. Ronnie Cycli's 54th block on the year. Then he runs the court, beats everybody down, and he's fouled.
There again, the speed and quickness of Cycli. He blocked the shot and then was the first man down the floor. Patrick Ewing could not get back defensively with him. One of the big guys is going to have to pick him up and cover him before he gets down the floor so easily. This is twice he's run the floor, and you see Steve Smith, eyes up, really looking for the big guy. Oakley again trying to strip him down low. Anthony with the block, but the foul before Cycli got into the position.
That's Stark's second personal foul, so Rolando Blackman quickly up off New York's bench.
When you look at Ronnie Cycli, his first 2 years in the NBA, he shot under 60% as a free throw shooter. At this point in time, he's shooting 72%, so his concentration is better. He's got a routine, and now when he goes to the free throw line, he's making 3 of every 4.
And there's the one he's going to miss, of the 4. Heat lead it by 3, 4:13 left in the first. Blackman, what he did so many years in Dallas, working off the pick. Said he's just starting to get his rhythm back. Had back spasms. Fans wanted to travel. Instead, they get the turnover. Rice pulls up.
So that's confidence right there in your shot. You drive it to the area. You know the guy's not going to defend your shots. You take it right where you want, just pull up and shoot the ball. I'm not so sure he would have done that 8 to 10 ball games ago.
Right. Rice now 4 of 5 for 12 points. They leave Anthony open for the 19, and I think Kevin Lockery will live with that.
I agree with you. That's the guy they want taking the shot. He's a 40% shooter. They want to get the ball out of the hands of Ewing and Smith in the post.
Nobody on the perimeter for New York shoots better than 45%. Smith outside, and he drains it.
A good ball movement by Anthony. Went away from the shot that time, found Charles Smith. That was nice ball movement.
He played the center position last night for Patrick Ewing. Anthony Mason up off New York's bench. Smith working on Blackman, and he rolls it home. Smith now with 4.
Both of them posting up. He posted up Starks one time. That time he posted up Blackman. The New York's going to take a timeout. Let's see if they make an adjustment. They might have to go back and double team Steve Smith, force him to give the ball up.
That's a high-scoring first quarter. The Heat lead it by 5 with 2:52 left. The Heat have led by as many as 6. They are up by 5 now with 2:52 left, and the Heat are very hot from the outside.
Well, this is what New York's going to get a steady diet of all season long. Ewing in the post, he gets double teamed. The ball is swung to Oakley, the extra path. What you talked about, Greg Anthony shooting the jump shot. That time he hit it, but that's a shot that Miami wants New York to have to take. Get the ball out of the post, make the New York shoot the ball from the perimeter. They'll take their chances then on being able to get to the boards and get some defensive rebounds.
Anthony Mason, the beast they call him, is checked into the lineup as we see the field goal percentage. Miami hot, New York's not. Ewing takes it strong inside. Good defense by Cycling. Mason pulls his way up for 2.
Boy, he just muscled Grant Long, who's not a small man, but when you look at him beside Anthony Mason, he just used his upper body strength. Grant Long went flying out of the picture, and Mason now with an opportunity for the 3-point play. This is the finish of the play. The pump fake and the excellent opportunity for Anthony Mason on the offensive boards. And again, we talk over and over, when you play New York, you must defensive rebound. Everybody, all 5 guys must come back and get to the board.
Percentage-wise, New York is number 1 in defensive rebounding and overall rebounding on a percentage-wise basis. Inside of 2.5, Rice will let go with a 3, and he drains his second of the game.
I'm sure Pat Riley's saying, well, I'm really glad that this guy is playing now the way they want him to play all season long. He got himself warmed up for our return here to Miami.
5 of 6 for that already, Doug. Mason just knocks Grant Long over.
Number 22, Spider Sally in the game.
Rice coming off a double screen. They stay with the play. He's open. He doesn't give up on it. They re-screen him again. Hits his feet together. Mason flies at him, and he buries his 3. That's 2 3-pointers from almost the same spot on the floor now tonight for Glenn Rice.
John Sally is checked into the lineup for the Heat. Sally, the 7th-year pro out of Georgia Tech, a first-round pick back in '86 by Detroit. Of course, he came to the Heat at a trade for Isaiah Morris. Cycling can't get it to go. Blackman the board. Outlet to Anthony. Inside of 2 minutes, Heat match their biggest lead. It is 6. Ewing is slapped by everybody in a white jersey. New York and Miami both come into tonight's game with 2-game win streaks. Who will make it 3? We're finding out right now at a sold-out Miami arena. It's the Heat and the Knicks, and the Heat lead it by 6, 26-20, along with Doug Collins, Amran Thule, and Ernie Johnson back in our studios in Atlanta to keep us posted on scores and highlights from other games. Pat Riley has seen his defense sort of wither the last 3 games. The last 3 opponents have averaged over 103 points a game, but he just has to really rely on that defense because the offense isn't there. Doc Rivers checks in for New York. He missed last night's game, but only 4 in the last 6 seasons.
And ironically, New York has won all 4 of those games.
That's right. And it's been balanced scoring, which we'll talk about later when he's not in the lineup. Bimbo Coles will come in for Kevin Lockery and the Heat in a moment. Rice finds a little bit of daylight, tries to take advantage of it. He does draw the foul.
When your jumper's going, people will got to run at you defensively. And when you do that now, you show them the little jumper, take it right to the basket. You see they're so aware right now. Mason playing Glenn Rice. He's got to get up on him. Turns the corner, the big, long, looping drive. And this is when Glenn Rice is a complete player. When he's taking the ball to the basket, getting fouls, when he's spotting up and shooting the threes, when he's posting, then he becomes a guy that you start putting in the upper echelon of scores in the NBA.
And he was really hoping to reach that upper echelon this year, but it started out so slowly for him.
Well, you know, you think about this year, you've had Steve Smith, who's really sort of their backbone in the backcourt out. You've had Brian Shaw and Bimbo Coles playing back there along with Kevin Edwards, who's played well. You bring Minor in, you bring in a John Sally. A lot of your makeup of your team changes. Grant Long holds out. So where New York made a lot of changes, there's been a lot of changes for Miami too subtly. And now we're just starting to see the team that finished so well for them last year and made the playoffs.
Still a 6-point lead for the Heat. As we mentioned, this is only the third time they've kept this lineup. As Bimbo Coles hog ties Doc Rivers down to the floor.
You see, that was a clear out, and no one talked to Bimbo Coles. Bimbo Coles just comes into the game. He's cold, and they clear it out. There's no one there. Doc Rivers bringing the ball down the floor. Look, it's a clear out. The backs are turned. No one's talking. So Bimbo Coles thinks he has help, and there's no one there. Someone turns the corner. The big men got to see the ball. Ball, you man, all the time on the floor, Ron. You lose vision of the basketball. I don't care how good a defense you're playing on your opponent. You're not in a position to help your teammate.
Glenn Rivers, a 10th-year pro out of Marquette, was a second-round pick back in '83 by the Atlanta Hawks, where he spent 8 years. Of course, he then went to the Clippers. Came to New York on a 3-way deal back in August of '92. Lead is down to 4, nearing the 1-minute mark of the first quarter. That's the hot man. Rice has only missed 1 shot so far tonight, and it stays that way.
That was good defense by Anthony Mason. Glenn Rice is taking right up where he left off the other night. 6 for 7 from the floor, 17 out of 22 the other night. So what is that, 23 out of his last, what, 29 shots?
Not too bad. Mason will track down the loose ball. Inside, Mason has it knocked away. Tries to gain control. Ewing from 14.
Excellent hustle by Anthony Mason. The shot blocked. He didn't give up on it. This is New York's most potent front line they have on the floor right now.
Smith wanting to get the 2-for-1. Takes a bad 3-pointer from about 5 feet outside of the arc.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Ron. You want to get 2-for-1, but you want to get a bad 2-for-1.
Right. It doesn't do you any good because now it's going to be a 1-for-1. 5-second difference between the shot and the game, as you can tell. Orlando Blackman working off the pick. That is patented Roe Blackman when he's healthy.
Yeah, we saw that a lot in Dallas through the years, didn't we?
Smith to Cycli, doesn't get it to go, and that's the way the first quarter will end, but it was a good one for both teams. Miami led by as many as 6, but at the end of 1, they lead it by 2, 29-27. We'll be back with quarter number 2. Rice have helped the Heat with a 2-point advantage at the end of 1. We talked about the other night against Atlanta. Even Dominique couldn't stop this man. He had the hot hands. Ronnie Cycli said he tried to go up to him, give him 5. He says hands were too hot, had to back off.
I saw Keith Askin said he had chill bumps that was trying to cool him off. So that didn't even work.
And tonight, Ronnie Cycli is not going to be able to touch the hands again, as he hits 2 of his 18 from the outside. A couple of substitutions coming into the lineup. First of all, for the Miami Heat, we get our first look at Baby Jordan. Harold Miner, the rookie out of Southern Cal, the first-round pick this past year at 6'5", 210 pounds, wearing number 32.
Excuse me, Ron. He's by far the crowd favorite. This guy is an exciting player.
Tony Campbell, number 9's come in for the Knicks. And this is a real question mark when Steve Smith came back. Coles is going to launch up a 3 off the back of the iron. Cycli didn't have a chance. When Steve Smith came in, who was going to be the odd guard out? Everybody just took it for granted to be Harold Miner, but that wasn't the case. It's going to be Kevin Edwards.
Well, they have to see what Harold Miner's got here. They're not really sure. He's a rookie. Kevin Edwards played exceptionally well, as we see Blackman again working off the screen. It's not that Kevin Edwards has not played well. They've got to find out what Harold Miner's got to see what he's going to bring to this organization for the future.
Blackman had 17 points last night in a win over Golden State. Rice has to give it up to Cycli, takes the move inside, whistle, and a foul. We talked about Roe Blackman. He told me before the game this is the first time he's actually been hurt in his career where he doesn't know if he can play night by night. But he says if he feels well, he says no problem. He loves it.
Well, look at him set his man up off the screen. Good job. Reads the screen. The guy tries to go to the top of the pick. He fades to the corner. See, if Orlando Blackman can give them some points coming off screens, and you've got Starks, and you've got a Charles Smith that you can post, you get some diversity in your offense rather than be too predictable. And I think if there's been a problem with New York early in the season, they've been so predictable. I think Pat Riley, if you got a chance to talk to him, he would say that this is something they would like to expand on as the second half of the season comes in. We wanted to build our defense first and then worry about our offense as the second half of the season comes around.
Cycli makes one of two. Keith Askins, the third-year pro out of Alabama, has checked into the lineup, and Glenn Rice will get a little breather as Ewing now with 8 rebounds for the ball game. Comes in averaging better than 12 a contest. There's the double team on Mason. Just what they practiced this afternoon.
They get it up.
And they're not going to do it. Shot clock goes off. Violation. Miami has the ball and a 1-point lead.
Second violation. Heat ball.
Talk about the team, the Knicks. They got in last night about 2 in the morning. Most players said by the time they got to bed, 3 o'clock. You know, are they tired? And that may prove, hey, you know, maybe chartering isn't all that great when you have to come in like that.
Well, no question, Ron. What they also do is you got to call on your depth right now, too, as we see a great move by Minor, although he does not get the shot to go down. This is where you have to call on your 9-10 man rotation. Say, guys, maybe your minutes are going to be down tonight, but when you're out there, let's make sure we play effectively and efficiently.
Ewing, the double team by Minor, has to kick it back around.
Well, excellent defense by the second unit of Miami. They're forcing some tough shots. 1 violation and a shot clock. He's trying to beat the clock by Tony Campbell.
Cycli's looking at the 3. He's not going to take it. Minor with the tongue out, a la Jordan. Inside, Ewing with the rejection. Then the wild shot. Cycli goes for it. Basket goes. We have a foul.
With this lineup that New York has on the floor, Campbell, Blackman, and Doc Rivers not really rebounders, so it's Mason and Ewing. This is really one of the smaller teams that Pat Riley will go with. The great block by Ewing against Keith Askins. He gets a piece of it again, but no one now to block out Ronnie Cycli. The excellent opportunity there for Cycli now to get the 3-point play. So activity now on the offensive boards to get some second shots against the New York Knicks front line.
And we've got Ron Culp, the trainer of Miami, looking at the eye of, I think, Keith Askins.
Looks like he got a cut over his left eye.
And he's going to have to go out. If they can't do it in 20 seconds, he has to go out of the lineup and make a substitution. At the conclusion of tonight's game, Doug and I will be selecting the Budweiser player of the game following the contest. Patrick Ewing also has to take a seat. Charles Smith now will move over to the center position. So now Pat Riley going with a smaller lineup. Cycli completes the 3-point play. He has 9 for the ball game, a 4-point Miami lead.
See, I think this is where Charles Smith is comfortable posting around the basket. Let's see if they go to him against Cycli.
Talked about how he played the 5 spot last night, Charles Smith did.
20 points, 12 rebounds.
Not bad.
3 block shots, I think, also to go with that.
The previous 4 games, he'd really averaged only 5 points. New York has had 4 possessions this quarter. They've turned it over twice. Cycli on Mason. Goes up strong. Mason was turning around talking to the officials the whole time. Cycli was posting him up.
See, I think that a lot of big guys, what you're seeing today is when they go into the middle, guys are trying to get their hands and strip the ball going up. You're getting a lot of fouls where guys reaching in and grabbing guys, or maybe shots they might not make. I think you'd like to see some of these coaches say, hey guys, let's make them make some of these shots. We're fouling them, we're bailing them out, we're putting them on the free throw line, we're getting ourselves in foul trouble.
Cycli goes to the line a lot. 6.2 last year, about that this year. Now Daryl Garrettson is telling Anthony Mason to be quiet. Daryl Garrettson really reading the riot act for Anthony Mason on the foul line.
See Cycli again. You know, it's important when you're posting up a player that he can make free throws. And Cycli has gotten to the gym and he's worked on his free throw shooting and he's made a major improvement.
Karl Malone, 48% his rookie year. Outside, Smith.
That's a tough matchup for Cycli because Smith can step out on the lane and make that jump shot. If you come out, he can put it on the floor and take it past you. So tough check here for Cycli.
That is how you run a give and go, but you can't complete it. But still, what a play. Bimbo calls into Cycli, right back to Coles.
You see the double team. Doc Rivers actually jumps and turns his head. That was not a double team. Doc Rivers jumped in the air to try to get the steal and never could get back to Bimbo Coles, who's having an excellent year. Ron, he has played very, very well for Miami. Probably played as much to his potential as anybody on this team over the first 41 games.
First in the NBA assist to turnover ratio, and I think we just got a technical foul on Anthony Mason.
He was trying to earn it the last time down the floor. He finally got his money's worth.
So he got a tee. So now Coles
don't think Pat Riley's very happy. Let's see if Oakley comes in for Anthony Mason.
He is going to do just that, Doug. He is up. And now Tony Campbell tells Mason just to relax. So Coles will be shooting the foul. And now we have the technical.
Charles Oakley in the game. He replaces Anthony Mason.
Well, Oakley in, Mason out. Bimbo Coles will remain at the line. He's already hit 2. A young man who was drafted in the 1990 baseball draft by California. Also drafted in baseball out of high school by Philadelphia. Very talented young man. Miami had a 9-2 run since New York tied the game up at 29 apiece, and now they have their biggest lead of the game at 7 at 38-31. Crowd chanting defense. Smith short, but the foul will be on Sally. That'll be Sally's first personal foul.
Team's first.
Team's first here in the second. Coming up on Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. It'll be the Pistons taking on the Nets. Join Bob Neal and Hubie Brown for all the action that will be coming your way Wednesday night right here on TNT, 8 o'clock Eastern time.
And then Friday we'll be back in Chicago with the same New York team. That'll be a big one. That'll be Chicago's first game back from a 9-game road trip. So I'm sure the Bulls will be happy to get back to the stadium. Big win last night for them in Los Angeles to push their record down to 4-3 on that long road trip. And they have Portland on Sunday.
And as you said, Doug, doubleheader. The first game, of course, the Knicks beat Chicago by 37 in the Garden earlier this year. That'll be game 1. And then game 2, Jack Gibbons will be out, and I will be out in Mile High City for the Philadelphia 76ers, and Doug Moe's return to Denver. Hope you join us for all the action Friday night. Big doubleheader, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Glenn Rice comes back into the lineup. Ronnie Cycli will sit down.
See, Ron, I think you've seen with this group that's on the floor that Charles Smith is very comfortable with his back to the basket. He stepped out and he's made a jumper. He's posted and got fouled. And they're going to go to him right now with this lineup that's on the floor. He's going to be like the Patrick Ewing with this group. So look for him to get a lot of touches in the post with Patrick Ewing out of the game.
Here it is again. The foul was on Sally for pushing Charles Oakley. Sally didn't like the call, but it looked pretty good.
See, here's right back to Smith. He's going to get double teamed.
Nice move by Campbell to get away from Glenn Rice. Tony Campbell with his first 2 of the ball game. He's averaged 11 points while shooting 64% in the last 3 games.
Harold Miner wanting the ball desperately against Blackman.
Again, New York putting up the defensive intensity. Oh, what a move by Glenn Rice.
Why would you leave a guy who never passes?
What was the chance of him actually giving up a 15-footer?
Right, 2 guys went for that fake pass, and Glenn Rice hasn't passed all night.
He's 7 of 8 tonight.
The guy, you got to make him pass.
There's his token pass for tonight. Sally, a little shaking and baking French pastry. He'll try it again.
John got himself tired before he took that shot. He made so many moves.
He was dizzy.
He was dipping and diving and got nothing done.
Now Sally and Smith slapping at each other's hands. Doc Rivers, the off-balance shot. Bimbo Coles, the 4-on-2s.
Glenn Rice.
To Rice, to the basket, off the glass, offensive foul. Glenn Rice, Kevin Lockery comes out of his chair.
I think Kevin Lockery felt like that Tony Campbell did not have position, that he came underneath Glenn Rice.
The Knicks call timeout.
Here it is again.
This is one time where Glenn Rice, maybe it had been better to stop and spot up and shoot the shot. He's shooting the ball so well, but he got caught right in midstream there, had really no place to go, and got the foul.
Knicks have called the timeout. We'll be back. Before intermission, and Glenn Rice has done it all. A little Harlem Globetrotter action, too.
Yeah, this is a little, I'll show it to you, and I'll take it away. Now, remember, he's 7 for 8 for the night, so he's, boom, I'm going to pass, and nope, I'm not going to pass. That was a great fake. Here we go again. Glenn Rice with a spin. Campbell buys this pass that is not a pass, and there's Glenn Rice wide open. I think a sensational first half.
65 points the last 2 games on 24 of 30 shooting. But still Miami, despite that, can't shake the Knicks. They only lead it by 6.
Well, look for Charles Smith to get it in the post.
And that'll be a whistle and a foul, and that will be on Grant Long. Going over the top. Long checking back into the lineup. His second, team's third here in the second quarter.
See Patrick Ewing back in the game. John Starks. Blackman will sit down, and Charles Smith. So Charles Smith getting a little rest now. He gave them some post play. You'll come right back in with Patrick Ewing and John Starks. This is really your inside-outside attack now that they have on the floor with Starks and Ewing.
And they have two players on the floor that merit double teaming, and there is one of them. Ewing with 11. The lead is cut to 4 inside of 7 minutes. He also has 8 rebounds.
See, Tony Campbell's in the game too right now defensively. He's a little bit better matchup for Glenn Rice. He's trying to cool him down a little bit.
Shot clock at 10. Still a lot of time remaining. Minor wanting the ball. Coles wheeling it around left side. And he lets it fly from the outside. Short. Long. Buries the 15-footer. Devin likes to see that because that's the shot that had not been falling this year for Grant Long.
That little mid-range jump shot, something that was so good to him last year. Ewing now getting through the double teams. That's 2 possessions in a row that Ewing has come off the bench with a little rest and scored on both of the plays, just beating the double team.
Rather high scoring first half for the New York Knicks. Only Minnesota scores less points than New York, and only Dallas shoots worse than New York. Sally just holding the basketball, finally lets it go from 17, goes about 15 and a half, and we have a loose ball foul. And that'll be on Harold Miner.
I think the crowd told John Sally to shoot that one. They got a little bit uptight that he was just sort of standing out there holding the basketball. When in doubt, I guess shoot. John Sally will now have a seat, and Cycli will come back into the lineup. So it'll be Cycli, Grant Long, Glenn Rice on the front line to go with Bimbo Coles and Harold Miner. Now, Harold Miner's been in the ball game, and I don't think he's scored yet. No. And normally what you'd like to do, and what the Heat have not been able to do, is when he's out on the floor, go to him and get some points. They have not been able to do that tonight. Good defense by New York.
Coles meeting Doc Rivers way out front. Campbell working on Rice, blows by him, doesn't get the shot to go. He wants the foul. Back to Coles to Rice.
Oh,
took
quick
Campbell
step.
right out of his Adidas.
Boy, that was a quick first step, Ron. That was right in front of us.
Boy, I tell you what, he moved. That was Starks picks up his 3rd personal foul, but that was all because of the quick first step.
Boy, he shook him. He shook him going to the right and made a quick jab step going left. Watch this now. Quick step to the right, leaves him. Boy, that's a nice quick pull-up drive there by Glenn Rice. That's a big-time play.
Grant Long will be at the line to shoot a couple. He misses the first. Blackman will come back into the lineup for the Knicks. Starks is going to have to sit down with 3 personal fouls. Long, who held out, missed training camp, missed the preseason, missed the beginning of the season, finally signed on. Rather smallish 4, but he's really, they considered a lot the heart and soul for this team. Starks only 2 points in the basketball game sitting down.
Well, that's the key to Miami's defense tonight. They said we want to try to control Starks, and they have done that up to this point. Well, great position by Patrick Ewing. That's too easy. 3 straight scores, and Patrick has got his head right under the rim. Cycli's got to push him off that block.
Well, Patrick started out 0 for 3, has hit 7 of his last 9 points for 15. Cycli, the off-balance hook. Ewing with his 9th rebound of the game. Blackman stops, pops, doesn't get it to go, and out of the pack comes Grant Long, and that'll be a whistle and a foul called, I think, on Charles Oakley. You talk about Patrick Ewing, where he's getting the basketball, Doug, and say that's no man's land. If he gets it that deep, that's almost for sure, too.
You can see right now the ball's being swung, and look when it comes back in position. Look where he has the basketball, Ron. I mean, that is 5 feet from the basket. You are not going to defend that. Cycli is going to have to, when the ball swings, he's going to have Patrick off the lane. I'll tell you who does a great job of that is Bill Cartwright. He does a tremendous job of preventing Patrick Ewing from getting that kind of position.
Grant Long making his 5th straight start for the Heat. 4 points, 5 rebounds now for Long. Uncle, of course, John Long, played in the NBA. Doesn't get the second one to go. But the Heat lead it by 4 inside of 5 minutes before halftime. Ernie Johnson standing by in our studios with the Reebok halftime report, updating you on scores. We'll show you a couple of highlights. Campbell over Rice, nothing but net.
Wait, Tony Campbell, you really got to admire him. He was sort of the odd man out in the rotation, did not play, got his opportunity, put up 20 points, played very well, and now is back in Pat Riley's rotation.
Good defense by Doc Rivers. Tips it over to Blackman. Nice pass to Doc Rivers from Rolando Blackman.
Well, you know what, Ron, the great thing about that play was he could not pick it up, so what he did was he slapped it over to Blackman. Great heads-up play by Doc Rivers, and Miami's going to take a 20-second timeout.
We are tied up at 44 apiece. 4:15, our second tie in the ball game. 4:15. Now they want a full timeout. 4:15 remaining before intermission, and we are knotted up at 44 apiece.
The NBA on TNT is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Epson, makers of computers and printers you can depend on.
But for now, our second tie of the ball game, we're knotted up at 44 apiece.
Let's take a look at a terrific play by Glenn Rivers here. Doc Rivers gets his hands up, deflects the pass. Now, he can't control it, so what does he do? He bats it over to Blackman. Harold Miner does not cover to the backcourt, and Glenn Rivers, Doc Rivers gets the easy breakaway dunk. That's where Harold Miner gets himself in problems defensively. Sometimes he thinks as a forward on the floor, and when you think as a guard, you always have to think about protecting the backcourt. As a forward, you can go to the boards, and he's still making that transition.
Well, Keith Haskins had to get, so excuse me, Doug, Keith Haskins got to get 2 stitches on his eyes. We talked about got beat up pretty good. He's still sitting on the bench, but Miami goes back with their starting lineup, especially in the backcourt, Smith and Shaw back in. New York, as you saw, 10-4 run the last 2:55, and that coincides with Patrick Ewing coming back in the ballgame, Doug.
And quietly, Tony Campbell has done a pretty good job here on Glenn Rice. He's cooled him off a little bit.
Steve Smith, who came into the game 7 for 21, 33% from the arc, gets his first this evening, and he has 7 points for the game. The Heat lead it by 3. Whistle and a foul. I think that'll be on Bryant. Offensive foul on the Knicks. We are at a sold-out Miami arena. 3:49 remaining to be played in the second quarter, along with Doug Collins, I'm Ron Thulin, where the Miami Heat, thanks to Steve Smith's last three-pointer, have a 3-point advantage over the Knicks.
What aggressive trapping defense right now. New York, it's Brian Shaw got down in the corner and 3 guys attacked him.
And we have a whistle and a foul on New York. And that'll be on Doc Rivers, his second. And the Heat will be shooting the penalty as Brian Shaw quickly heads to the line. Other scores from around the NBA tonight. Cleveland and Detroit going at it at Richfield Coliseum. Dallas leading Indiana in the first. Houston by 5 over Minnesota. Of course, Ernie will update us all. What a vote of confidence for Brian Shaw, Doug. The fact that, you know, a lot of people said he couldn't play for this team, and Kevin Lockridge just went with him, and it's a confidence factor. You mentioned it, the other players like him.
They like him being on the floor. His numbers don't jump out at you, but he gets his hands on a lot of passes. He plays good defense. He gets some rebounds. And he's very unselfish. He doesn't look to take a lot of shots, and guys like to play on the floor with those kind of guys.
Well, it took 10 seconds for the Knicks to get into their offensive set. Blackman off the pick again. That's almost an automatic.
Yeah, that was a well-executed play. A little double curl. One player comes off the screen, followed right by Rolando Blackman. That's twice they've run that play, and he scored both times.
Smith forces the pass to Cycli. It's a turnover. That's number 5 for Miami. They're turning it over at 17 a game. Blackman stops, pops, doesn't get it, but we have a whistle and a foul as Greg Anthony will come back in for the Knicks.
Heat foul number 20, Brian Shaw.
Brian Shaw picks up his first personal foul, and coming up at halftime, the Reebok halftime report. Ernie's in our studios as usual with scores and highlights. He'll be taking a look at the 76ers and the Celtics, plus the Pistons and the Cavs. And Ernie will also take a look at last night's honor with Larry Bird at the Boston Garden at his retirement party. What a 2.5-hour show that was.
Well, that's at least we could give him for 13 years of thrills, right?
I think he put it best, and the line I like the best when Larry Bird said, "I had a blast."
Well, he did. I mean, there's a guy who you can genuinely say loved to play basketball, and if he had a choice of doing anything else, would be on the basketball court. He just absolutely, it was a tremendous way for him to express himself, and forget about that. He also won most every time. He said, you know, he never went out on the court to put his uniform on to play. Always went out to win. I think that sort of says a lot about him.
Always working on his game. Another turnover, number 6 for Miami. They lead it by 3, nearing 2.5 of the second.
Look at the position Ewing's getting.
And he was triple team, but he do draw the foul.
See, when you get that deep of position, Ron, the double team cannot get back quickly enough to stop you. So the ball is going to go inside to Ewing. Watch how deep he is on the floor. The ball goes in. Now he gets the shot off. The double team is coming right there, but it's too late. You've got to come from so far because he is so deep on the floor. They've got to get him out of the lane, whether they have to front him or do something that cannot let him get that kind of position, or he's going to throw up a 35-point night here.
Pat Riley calls him the most unselfish player on our team. Has 10 rebounds, which is as many as the top 2 Heat players, as Cycli and Long, each with 5. Patrick 3 of 4 from the line. He has 17 points for the ball game. Cut the Heat lead down to 1 inside of 2.5.
See, Glenn Rice quietly has been taken out of this second quarter by Tony Campbell. He's not leaving him for those easy opportunities.
And those easy baskets aren't coming so easily now for Miami. Rice only 2 points in this quarter, Doug.
And you've got to credit Tony Campbell. He's a better matchup at that position. He's chasing through the screens, and he's not getting the open looks at the basket.
2 minutes left in the second quarter. That is a 3-second call on the Knicks. Ro Blackman didn't like it.
See, Charles Oakley's thinking one thing all the time, offensive rebound, and he's getting himself in the lane. And when Blackman didn't take the shot and the extra pass was made, that's where the violation came. But you can always find Charles Oakley. He's going to have his head underneath the basket looking for the offensive rebound.
Well, if Miami, they don't want to be in a close game. They've lost 17 games by 9 or less. 1 in 5 in games 3 or less. Long from the outside, doesn't get the 2. Cycli battling for the offensive rebound and the putback. Well, Glenn Rice has taken only 2 shots this quarter, but Ronnie Cycli, his shot gives Miami the 3-point advantage.
But Tony Campbell's playing very well. Not an excellent shooter by any stretch of the imagination. He's a scorer. That's 6 points. But he's a guy that can score. He can get to the free throw line. He can make some things happen for you.
What a shot was that. It was ugly.
It slipped out of his hands on the way up. It looked like he tried to palm the ball, and when he did on the way up, it squirted right out of his hands. Many instances when the ball gets sweaty, your hands get sweaty, that will happen.
Tony Campbell, though, is the one who's keeping him in this game. The 9th-year pro out of Ohio State, a first-round pick by Detroit back in 1984. Of course, he went to Minnesota. Now with the Knicks, Ewing, the fall away, doesn't get it. Long has it, wisely waits for Steve Smith. Rice only 2 shots in this quarter. That'll be a blocking foul on Patrick Ewing, his second in the ball game.
33, Patrick Ewing, his second penalty.
45.7 left in the half. 51-50 is our score. Pat Riley, the native of Schenectady, New York. Well, Sally comes back into the lineup for the Heat. Charles Smith comes back in for New York as Patrick Ewing will sit down and Ronnie Cycli will sit down.
He replaces Patrick Ewing.
See, Patrick Ewing, Pat Riley does not want him to pick up his 3rd foul at this point in time with 2. Really only 1 more offensive possession for New York, so you don't want him to get the 3rd foul, which will change your whole rotation. Then you pick up the 4th to start the 3rd quarter, and now you have to sit down. So excellent substitution.
Pat Riley said the #1 concern when he took over the Knicks, and especially this year, was chemistry, getting all these new players to gel, and that is a player that is beginning to fit right into the team concept. Tony Campbell now with 8.
See, I like Tony Campbell because, you know, he just kept playing. When he got his opportunity, he was on the bench for a long time. He just got his opportunity to win, and he played well.
Sally takes it strong to the hole. Charles Smith will be whistled for the foul. That'll be his 3rd. So Smith with 3, Starks with 3, Campbell with 2, Rivers with 2 for New York.
Charles Smith has had a problem of getting in foul trouble early this season, and I think a lot of it is that he's played against a lot smaller players. He's done a lot of reaching and grabbing on the perimeter that he normally doesn't have to do, chasing people through screens. So I think you're going to see Anthony Mason now probably come back into the game for Charles Smith, so he does not pick up his 4th.
Sally gets the first. He's averaging 7.4 a game. Stay with us for the Reebok halftime report. Mason comes in. Smith sits down. Also coming into the lineup, Askins with the 2 stitches over the eye will come in. Rice sits down, and New York wants a 20-second timeout to talk about it. We saw John Sally at the line. They brought him in, Doug, for rebounding and for block shots. But when you look at the numbers, they're down in rebounding. Their blocks still aren't anything great. So you'd have to say John Sally has not made the impact that Kevin Lockery had really hoped for. Would that be a fair statement?
Well, I think it's fair. I think that what we'll have to wait and see now is with their complete roster back, with Cycli and Long now playing on the front line and Sally coming in as a backup to both of those positions, will he be able to give them what they need along the front line? Shot blocking and rebound. Not worry about his scoring, but give him the presence of shot blocking and rebounding. John tonight only 1 point and 1 rebound. They need better numbers than that from him. They need better concentration from him. They need to bring some of the championship experience that he brought, that he should bring from Detroit. And John has not done that at this point in time. No, he has not.
Well, maybe he was so used to having Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas helping him out. But I think Chuck Daly said it best on John Sally's tombstone. It'll be 7 and 7, 7 rebounds and 7 points. And you see the numbers, 7 points. And on the year, he's averaging 6 rebounds. Sally, who was featured on Lifestyles and the Rich and Famous just about a month ago, gets the shot to go. Shot clock has been turned off. The Heat lead it by 2.
Now, New York wants to make sure they get the last shot. They don't want to get a foul on a rebound, which would allow Miami to go down and shoot 2 free throws. So they want to get the last shot. Campbell's had the hot hand. Let's see if he gets it up.
Campbell looking for his 10th point, doesn't get it. Rebound, Mason had it, and that is the way the first half will end. A high-scoring first half if you're the New York Knicks, but the Miami Heat will head to the locker room with a 2-point advantage, 54-52. Stay with us. We'll step aside for a few minutes. Ernie Johnson is in Atlanta with the Reebok halftime report that's coming your way next.
The Reebok Halftime Report is brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that life is short. Play hard.
All right, they've played 24 minutes at Miami Arena, where the Knicks trail the Heat by a deuce. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with the Reebok halftime report. As we told you earlier tonight, even though Phil Jackson's Chicago Bulls have the best record in the Eastern Conference, Jackson can't coach in the All-Star game because he did it last year. So the honor will go to either Pat Riley or Lenny Wilkens, depending on whether the Knicks or Cavs have the second best record in the East after Sunday's games. The only way Wilkens could get it is to have his Cavs win their 2 games and have the Knicks lose their 2. Let's check in on Lenny Wilkens and the guys and see how they're doing at Richfield Coliseum. 3.5 behind Chicago when the night started. Great feed. Larry Nance, Brad Daugherty averaging 20 a game. Cleveland with a 10-point lead. Dumars and Price fight for the loose ball. Dumars wins that battle and cans the 3. Pistons with a 4-point lead, but back come the Cavs. A 10-0 run. Danny Ferry right in the middle of this action. Gerald Wilkins has given Lenny Wilkens some great minutes recently. 28, a season high earlier this week. He cans the 2. And Mark Price, 100 straight free throws at home over 2 seasons, clangs it off. There goes the streak, but right now Cleveland with an 80-74 lead over the Pistons. The Bucks and the Hornets in Charlotte. I don't know if that's bad execution on a good idea or good execution of a bad idea, but a bad pass by David Wingate. Back come the Bucks. Blue Edwards knocks it down for 2. Late in the first. Watch the long pass for the rookie Todd Day. Somehow off the glass 3-point play. Great game going at Hive Drive. Mike Dunleavy's Bucks with an 83-82 lead over the Charlotte Hornets. Golden State and Washington. The Warriors, man, lost 4 straight, 0-3 on their current trip. Chris Gatlin gets 4 stitches in the head. And this will give you a headache, too. Purvis Ellison for the jam. Golden State hangs around early. Where's Tim Hardaway throwing that thing? Right to Latrell Sprewell. Perfect feed, 2-point game. But Nelly's guys just getting pummeled at the Cap Center. Buck Johnson, change hands, lefty jam around Chris Mullin. And with time running out in a half, Tom Gugliotta, don't say that's going, but it is for 3. They shot 69% in the first half, scored 73 points. Right now they have an 89-68 lead over the Golden State Warriors. And when the Reebok halftime report continues, tonight's highlights from Boston Garden as the Celtics host the Sixers, and a look back at last night's highlight in Boston, a tribute to Larry Bird. The Knicks and the Heat at the break at Miami Arena as the Reebok halftime report continues. What would bring a sellout crowd to Boston Garden on a night the Celtics and Bruins didn't play? One word: Larry. Boston paid tribute to Larry Bird last night, an evening that was at times emotional and magical.
This being, Larry's night, he still goes out and he's the type of person he is. He's giving everybody else credit. Enjoy it. It's great, and it's yours.
There will never, ever be another Larry Bird. So you take that to the bank. I love you, I respect you, and I admire you.
I say thank you. I'll be around, but tonight my basketball career is officially over, and I had a blast.
And we had a blast watching. At this time last season, Larry Bird and the Celtics were in a dogfight with the Knicks for the Atlantic Division lead. Now, Boston's just trying to hang on to a spot in the top 8 in the East as they host the Sixers at Boston Garden tonight. The night after, there it is, hanging up there in the rafters, number 33, and Larry Bird still smiling about last night. Philadelphia's Minute Ball stripped by D. Brown. Wall to wall he goes. Boston with an 11-point lead, and the Sixers answer with a 12-2 run. Jeff Hornacek and Drew Lang lets Joe Klein go by and just gently throws it down. They're down by 1. Now, what are they doing? Playing 4-on-5 here? Nobody's near D. Brown. He cans the three-pointer. Right now it is 73-68. The Celtics with the lead over the Sixers. And we will be back with more on the Reebok halftime report right after this. And welcome back to the Reebok halftime report. Let's hit the board one more time and update the Friday night hoops. Cleveland now with a 10-point lead over Detroit as they play in the fourth period. It's Milwaukee 93-86 over Charlotte in the fourth at the Charlotte Coliseum. Washington 95-79 over the Golden State Warriors, who are struggling. Get a load of this. 53-44. Dallas with the lead. Do not adjust your sets. Second period, Houston 34-32 over Minnesota. Just starting, Sacramento at Denver. Scalpers night off. Later tonight, the Lakers take on the Phoenix Suns, and the Shaxson Five make their first appearance in Portland when the Magic take on the Blazers later. 2 weeks from tonight, folks, it is All-Star Weekend. We'll be with you All-Star Friday night. A lot of fun and games starting at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. On Saturday, All-Star Saturday, the Schick Legends Classic, the AT&T Long Distance Shootout, the Gatorade Slam Dunk Championship. What more could you possibly want? And on Sunday, the 1993 NBA All-Star Stay in School Jam at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. That's All-Star Weekend on TNT.
The Reebok Halftime Report has been brought to you by Reebok to remind you life is short. Play hard.
Ernie Johnson back with you here in Atlanta with a bit of trivia. On this date, 15 years ago, John Havlicek played in his final All-Star game. He wasn't supposed to start, but he did because one of the players for the East gave up his starting spot for Hondo. Who was it? I'll give you a hint. He's sitting courtside in Miami. Doug Collins, nice touch, Dougie. That was great.
Oh, Ernie, you're such a nice guy. I appreciate that. I really wasn't that unselfish, but I'll take it.
Well, speaking of not being unselfish, how about the Miami Heat? They shoot only 23%, Doug, in the second quarter, but they hold on to the 2-point lead that they had at the end of one.
Well, thanks to 14 free throws they made in the second quarter. Getting to the free throw line really helped them, but there's some disturbing trends there. If you watch The bench came off, gave 9 field goals to New York, no field goals for the Miami Heat, and we see the rebounding, which is a good statistic if you're Miami because they're staying right with New York on the board. Second chance points basically even. Field goal shooting, though, you see the Heat 43%. That's what the Knicks hold their opponents to. And the 2 big guns in the first half were Patrick Ewing for the New York Knicks, 7 for 13 from the field for 17 points. He also had 11 rebounds, and this is some of the good position he got inside, especially in the second quarter. And Glenn Rice from Miami got off to a terrific start, shooting 7 for 9 from the field, at 20 points. But in the second quarter, got only 2 shots, made 1 of 2. Tony Campbell, an excellent job defensively. So I think it's going to be important for Miami to try to reestablish Glenn Rice here in this second half. He's been riding a terrific high coming off his 45-point game. They need to get him back involved in the offense.
Only 2 points in that second quarter. Rice and Shaw were a combined 10 for 13. The rest of the team, however, just 6 of 24 for 25%. Outside, Brian Shaw drains the 3. Shooting only 17% from the arc this year.
That's 4 for 6 3-pointers, so they're beating the Knicks at the 3-point line and at the free throw line at this point in time. Starks only 1 for 3. He got in foul trouble in the first half, so they've done a good job controlling him.
Knicks haven't even attempted a 3 yet. Into the crowd goes Charles Oakley. Starks looked at the 3, is going to wait up. Oakley finally coming across the timeline. Shot clock at 13. No double team. Ewing just goes baseline, fall away. The ball tapped around. Rice had a piece of it.
That's going to be on Charles Smith, Ron, over the back. So that's a foul right there you don't want to get if you're Charles Smith. He had no way to get the rebound. All he did was jump into a guy's back, and you're going to get called on that. So here comes Tony Campbell. Now, I'm not so sure this substitution doesn't help New York. And the reason I say that is because Charles Smith, as a small forward, had his hands full with Glenn Rice. And now Tony Campbell's coming in. But watch, he just comes in and really just jumps on the back. Really no opportunity to get the ball. So let's see if Campbell can do the good job that he did in the second quarter against Glenn Rice defensively.
Well, you talk about John Starks playing with 3. Let's see if they try to get Starks to pick up his 4th personal. Now Rice backs out as the shot clock nears the 5-second mark. Cycling bumps bellies with Ewing, has 3 on the shot clock, puts it up, whistle, and a foul. Ewing can't believe it.
That is a bailout foul right there. Ronnie Cycling stumbled, kicked it, banged it, picks it up, and trying to force the shot to beat the clock. Got the 3rd foul on Patrick Ewing, so the Knicks starting to get in foul trouble. Starks has 3, Ewing has 3, Charles Smith has 4, and the free throw line has been the best ally since the first quarter of Miami.
Cycling, the 9th pick overall in the first round of the '88 draft by the Heat out of Syracuse. Speaks 4 different languages.
How many square feet does he have in his house, you were telling me, Ron?
24,000. The last thing I had 24,000, it was my high school, I think. My wife is on the trip meeting, wants to go see the house. I got to talk Cycling into it. Shot missed. Come the Heat on the run. Long lets it fly. Rattles home on the rim. Pat Riley wants a timeout.
Now that's the shot that Grant Long made last year for this Heat team. That little pull-up shot in transition. So Miami has come out very well here to start the 3rd quarter. New York struggling a little bit, now down 8, 60-52.
And they've opened up their biggest lead of the game. It is 8. New York has never led in this game. We've had 4 ties. They had a chance to take the lead twice in the final minutes of the half. They failed each time. Right now, Pat Riley needs to put a little defensive effort on to cool down the Heat. Here's the last play.
Now, Brian Shaw does a nice job throwing the ball ahead. Grant Long takes the ball to about 15 feet, pulls up, makes the open jump shot.
So Grant Long cans his 6th point of the game, 2nd here in the second half.
Well, Ron, chances are when the New York comes out of a timeout, they go to Patrick Ewing. So let's see if they post him up on this possession.
Smith chasing around Anthony. Ewing sets the pick. Then he rolls baseline.
That was perfect execution. That's the OC play that Pat Riley has run now for every year he's coached. He used to run it with Magic Johnson with the Lakers. It's a corner screen roll, and Patrick Ewing gets the wide open shot.
Now Smith trying to post up Starks. Once again playing with 3 fouls. Rice.
That was good defense and just better offense. Tony Campbell had a hand in his face, and Glenn Rice made a tough one.
He is 8 of 10 from the floor. Rice now with 22 for the ball game. Ewing, the big step going left. Cycling rejects it. His second block of the game.
Where's Glenn Rice? Someone better bring it to him. That's Grant Long again.
Way off the mark. Cycling is there. Doesn't get it. But we have a foul. What a rejection, though, by Ronnie Cycling on the far end of the court.
And I think he got an elbow in the eye. Let's see if Patrick Ewing's right arm gets him on this. Somebody got him in the face. He's holding his cheek. I don't think Ewing got it, maybe one of his own teammates, but an excellent hustle play then on the boards to give Ronnie Cycling 2 free throws. The free throws are going to start mounting up here, Ron, as we go along in this game. In the first half, 19 out of 25 for Miami, only 8 of 13 for New York, so they were plus 11 at the foul line, and they've already started back to the free throw line here in the third quarter.
In the last 2 games, Miami has been very successful from the line, shooting better than 84%. At intermission, they were at 79%, and they've improved on that with 2 in a row from Cycling. Starks.
That's the guy they want to keep quiet. He's now 1 for 5 tonight.
To Shaw. Nice patience shown by Miami. Shaw leaves Campbell, throws up the prayer. Cycling can't answer it, but we have another foul, and Pat Riley is livid.
Who'd they call that one on? Is that on Ewing? If it is, it's his 4th, isn't
It
it?
is. Charles Oakley.
That's Oakley's 3rd. Who's the foul against, Cycling or Brian Shaw? I thought Brian Shaw was the guy that got hit in the head. They're putting Cycling on the free throw line on the offensive rebound.
I'll have to look at that again. I think Brian Shaw, they didn't call it until Cycling tried the follow shot, is the only thing we can think of. We'll look at it again.
Well, here comes Brian Shaw. Here he comes. And here comes now Cycling. And I guess
there was Oakley, yeah.
I guess that's the foul right there. Again, Ronnie Cycling shooting free throws very well tonight.
He has made his last 7 in a row, Doug, and he's only missed 2 of 11 so far.
9 out of 11. That's good free throw shooting. Big guy getting to the line and converting.
Cycling has 3 rebounds in this quarter alone. Oakley uses the big body to gain position with his first field goal and points of the game. The Heat have led it by as many as 12. They are up by 10 now, inside of 8.5.
Boy, Cycling active as can be, and Steve Smith just seeing over the defense at 6'8". Boy, you can see what his presence really does to this Miami offense. 19
for Ronnie Cycling in the ballgame. Ewing wants the basketball. He's being guarded by Grant Long. Campbell takes the outside J. He has 10.
Well, as Rice has cooled off a little bit or calmed down, the guy that's picked up the slack has been Cycling. We got an offensive foul.
Glenn Rice whistled for the offensive foul, his 3rd.
There again, 6'8" Steve Smith seeing over the defense. A simple give and go screen roll, and slow rotating defensively here. They do not get there in time. And again, Charles Oakley is an excellent defender when he can put his body on you, but he is not a shot blocker.
Pat Riley up, yelling encouragement to his troops. Long now guarding Patrick Ewing. Campbell over Cycling's hands. Mason had a piece of it, and he puts it back. Mason with 4. The 12-point lead of Miami is down to 8.
New York is just trying to hang in there, hoping their defense can take control, but they're not able to keep Miami off the free throw line. Too many fouls right now for New York.
Cycling kicks it back. Shaw with the 3. It'll be short. Mason with the rebound. He has 7. That is his average.
I think if you look right now at New York, this is probably their best defensive team, Ron. You got Mason and Ewing, Starks, Anthony, and probably for this ball game, Campbell against Glenn Rice. So this is probably, for this game, the best defensive team they have on the floor. They've cut the lead to 6.
Well, Miami calls a pretty good timeout as New York is on a 6-0 run with 7:05 left in the 3rd. It's a 6-point Miami lead.
The NBA on TNT is brought to you by...
2 minutes ago, the Heat had a 12-point lead. It is now down to 6 with 7:05 left in the third. Larry Bird is even loved in Miami. How about a Massachusetts license plate with Larry Bird 33, and NBA action is dynamite on TNT. And so is Larry Bird. No matter what arena you go to, Doug, that is the talk, and everybody misses seeing Larry Bird play.
Well, he really epitomized the NBA and the way the game was played. You had to love him, and he's, you know, who better would you love to have in a ball game with 2 minutes to go and the ball in his hands than Larry Bird?
Steve Smith now being guarded by Anthony. He has about 8 inches on Anthony.
They're trying to free Rice up for his jump shot. Campbell right with him.
Rice really never had control of the ball. Here comes Anthony with 6:39. 13 rebounds now for Ewing.
You can really feel right now New York's defense trying to take over this game and get back into it.
Mason left alone inside. Smith will tie him up. Let's take a look exactly what Tony Campbell is doing to shut down Glenn Rice, and he's doing a very good job of it.
Well, the key is you don't let him catch the basketball. You can't shoot it if you don't get it. Look at him fight through the screens. Coming off 2-3 screens, Mason jumps up nicely, and then look at the forced shot. Excellent defense that time by Tony Campbell. And again, when I said Charles Smith went out of the game a while ago that it might be a good foul, the reason is because of the matchups. It's not that Tony Campbell is a better player than Charles Smith, but in this scheme against Glenn Rice, they need his defense, a quicker player out on the perimeter.
Mason misses the first, gets the second. He has 7 points and 7 rebounds, 3 of those on the offensive end. The Heat lead it by 5, 6:22 remaining to be played in the third.
And now he's going to try to post him.
Reaching from behind, it'll be Campbell. That is his 3rd personal foul.
Trying to post Glenn Rice now. Looks like Campbell does a nice job of knocking his ball away from behind him. He gets called for the foul. Right there, a little punch away. They call him for the wraparound foul. That's very costly because it is in the penalty situation now, so 2 free throws.
At the line, Glenn Rice.
We look at Glenn Rice, despite the fact his field goal percentage is at an all-time low. He's really come on the last 7 games, as we've mentioned. It's the first as we look at tonight's GMC Truck scoreboard in Washington pounding Golden State.
What is that, 9 straight road losses for Golden State. Cleveland now 20-point victory over Detroit. That was a closer ball game. Minnesota, big win in Portland the other night to stop their losing streak.
Well, Glenn Rice, 24 points, but only 6 since the first quarter. Starks for 3, and that may begin to light the fire under the former Oklahoma Stater.
Well, Kevin Lockery said, oh, no, we don't want to get this guy going. Right in front of him. I'm surprised Kevin didn't try to defend that shot, but he didn't guard anybody when he played.
Kevin didn't defend anybody. Now Smith, that'll be an offensive foul. He put a right forearm into the chest of Starks.
Little trapping defense by Miami, and they leave Starks right in front of the Miami bench. He's going to slide down, and there's Kevin Lockery about 2 steps away, leaving Starks with a wide open 3. A 2-man game now, Starks and Mason. Let's see if he can get going.
Talked about the close games and Miami not able to convert in them. Kevin says they just don't have confidence to do it right now. Mason, a little flick of the wrist. Rebound by Long. He has 7 boards tonight.
Ron, I was talking to Alvin Gentry, one of the assistant coaches of Miami today, and he said that there's 12 games this year that Miami has either been tied or ahead of with 2.5 minutes to go and has lost. So, I mean, you can see how disappointing they've been in the fourth quarter as the jump shot buried that time down. What was that, Grant Long?
And they're 0-5 in overtime with Heat. Ewing, the double team by Rice. Long got a piece of it. New York still has it, 10 on the shot clock.
So I think you're going to see Pat Riley when he comes back in with a substitution. I think Charles Smith is going to come back in for Ewing. So when Ewing rests, I think they're going to put Smith back into the post where they can get a low post score and keep Campbell in the ball game for his defense against Rice.
Starks gives it off to Mason. He flicks it again, a little short. Cycling with the rebound.
He's had 2 good looks at it, just hadn't been able to make the open shot.
Outside, Rice forced that one. That'll put a bruise in the backboard, and Campbell beats him down court.
Well, no one rotated back. When Glenn Rice took that shot, one of the guards has to get back. So Tony Campbell, an excellent job running at the shooter, then releasing.
The lead is 4.
although Miami has controlled this game, do you sense that New York is trying to take this game over? I mean, it's almost like it's just waiting to happen.
And it'll be with their defense. But Ronnie Cycli gets the roll. 6 points for Cycli. Check that. 8 points for Cycli in the field goal. 9 total for the quarter. Whistle and a foul.
Well, Anthony Mason said, you know what, I've missed about 2 15-foot jump shots. Why don't I get a little closer to the basket? Instead of using my left hand, which is my normal, and I'll use my right hand and get a 3-point play here. So he gets the field goal, gets fouled, and now wants to try to finish off the 3-point play that will bring it to a 74-71 game. New York now down only 3.
Mason completing the 3-point play. The lead is 3. 4:05 left to be played in the third.
Well, I don't know how he saw that.
I don't know either. Smith can't complete it, and Long is going over the back of Anthony Mason.
I guess that's just a sense of where your teammates are, but that was a blind pass by Glenn Rice.
I couldn't see it. That was a direct angle. We had a lot of bodies in front of us. Long picks up his 3rd personal foul. Here's that blind pass again.
Now he's coming off a screen. Watch this. He's being chased by Ewing. Now you tell me how he sees Steve Smith over in the corner for the 3-point shot. That's just knowing where your teammates are. Boy, Tony Campbell is playing a tremendous game. Tremendous. If New York wins this game, he will be the difference in this ball game. That's 14 points and excellent defense against Glenn Rice.
Miami wheeling it around. Cycli has it rejected by Patrick Ewing. Then he tries to hit it off the leg of Greg Anthony. Daryl Garrettson said the ball belongs to the Heat. Here's Tony Campbell again.
See the nice inside post play, takes it to the other side of the basket, shields his body and the defender away by using the basket. And Tony Campbell has been excellent tonight. 9 seconds to go. Let's see who they try to go to get the quick shot.
Five on the shot clock. Smith will let the 3 fly. He buries it.
See, Steve Smith's a big-time player. That's why in the 4th quarters he's so big, because he's a guy that'll take that shot as the clock's winding down.
Talked about the confidence in those close games. Who's going to take the game over for Miami? Now they have that person. Campbell.
That's a bad shot.
Doesn't get it. Great effort by Mason. Anthony for 3 doesn't get it. Smith had snuck behind Anthony. Nobody saw him. Shaw doesn't get it. Long, the offensive rebound. The putback won't go, but we have a whistle. And I think that is on Campbell, and that will be his 4th personal foul.
Knicks foul number 9. Tony
it is on Tony Campbell, his 4th personal foul, and we have a timeout. 2:40 remaining to be played in the third. The Miami Heat lead the Knicks 5-4. We'll be back.
Late in the third period, Ernie Johnson in our Atlanta studios. Let's hit the early starts as we go to the scoreboard. Cleveland, a winner over Detroit, 109-89. Cavs have won 3 straight. With 7 seconds left in the game, it's Charlotte about to put away Milwaukee, 118-111. Washington, 138-111 over Golden State. Don Nelson ejected in that game. That's 5 straight losses for Golden State. And Boston, with Reggie Lewis scoring 28, beat Philadelphia 105-93. Now back to Miami.
Thank you very much, Ernie. Doug, you have to be concerned if you're Kevin Lockery. You've outscored New York by 16 from the free throw line, yet you're only up by 4 points.
Well, what's happened is Glenn Rice has been taken out of the offense because the New York has really done a good job concentrating. Campbell is really focusing, not letting him catch the basketball. So it's really been Ronnie Cycli and Steve Smith that have stepped up the pace. But for New York, they've got to hope that they can start getting some defensive stops without fouling, because the free throw line, plus 16 for Miami now on the free throw line. You see 26 out of 33. Foul trouble, New York. Patrick Ewing has 3. Mason has 3. Starks has 3. Charles Smith has 4. So they're starting to mount up now for the Knicks.
Long can't get the second. He has 5 points in this half, 9 for the ball game. The lead is 5. Miami is led by as many as 12. Starks finds the hole and just takes it strong.
And that was just an explosive, quick move on the baseline. Reminiscent of a Michael Jordan kind of move where you get those shoulders low and you turn the corner.
7 for Starks. nearing the 2-minute mark of the third. Smith backs him up, pulls the trigger.
How about this guy? Missed 34 games. He's pretty darn sharp out there for missing so many games. Normally it takes a long time to get your rhythm back, but he's playing very, very well.
I'm surprised how good shape he's in.
Well, that's true. And you know, your game shape, you lose your legs when you don't play many minutes. I don't care how much you ride the exercise bike.
Campbell, a little dip shot with the left hand from the inside. And Tony Campbell has been the offense here in the second half. He has 8 for the quarter, 16 for the ball game, and he's 8 of 13 from the field. Now it is cycling. Shot clock at 7. Backs in Ewing. Gets him up in the air. The shot won't go, but we have a whistle and a foul.
It's going to be the 4th on Patrick Ewing. A great pump fake by Ronnie Cycli. So again, Miami is not scoring from the field, but they are getting to the free throw line.
At the line, Ronnie Cycli.
In this quarter, Cycling 9 points, 4 rebounds, make it 10 points and 4 rebounds.
Let's talk about the good of the New York Knicks. First in opponent's field goal, first in opponent's field goal percentage, first in rebound margin, leading 28 times their opponents have been under 100. Then you look at the bad of the Knicks when we talk about their sputtering offense, and we'll see that in a moment. You can see where their defense has really sustained them through the course of this season.
Talk about Ronnie Cycli's 11 points and 4 rebounds in the quarter. Ewing only 2 points and 2 boards in the third. And he is not in the lineup right now as Oakley has come back in. A little shot, it goes.
Starks is starting to feel it. It all started from that 3-point shot in front of the Miami bench. Only 2 points in the first half, but the explosiveness of John Starks, this young player, boy, when he plays under control, he is on the verge of being an all-star player. When he can consistently play over stretches of time the way he's played the last 12 games, he really elevates himself as being one of the top big guards in the Eastern Conference.
Well, Grant Long picks up his 4th personal foul, so he will have to sit down. Starks completes the 3-point play.
Well, he went from 2 to 10 in a real hurry, didn't he, points-wise?
Now it is Shaw running this show for Miami. He's joined by Smith in the backcourt. Haskins has come in.
I'm sure they'd love to get that 4th foul on Starks, try to sit him down, cool him off a little bit.
Cycling working on Oakley, loses the handle. Mason leading the break to Anthony. He has Starks on the right. Fans wanted to travel. They probably would have been a good call.
Don't leave
Starks
him. He's
3.
feeling
He
it.
doesn't get it. Cycling the rebound. Mason knocks it out with 30.5 left in the quarter. The Heat holding on to the 2-point advantage they had at the end of 1 and at the end of 2.
On the matchups now, if you see Cycling, he's being played by Anthony Mason, so they're playing him really with a small forward size-wise. Let's see if they can get him posted.
Smith.
He's taking Starks right into the low post, and Starks has 3 fouls, so Steve Smith doing the smart thing. No double team there. I'm surprised Pat Riley's not made an adjustment and come back and forced him to be a passer. Maybe make Brian Shaw make the outside shot.
Smith with 15, 3 left in the quarter, and Anthony Mason drains the baseline. Still 2 seconds left in the quarter.
Better get it in.
It's over to Steve Smith. The long Troy Aikman pass won't connect.
At the end of the third quarter,
But the 2-point lead that Miami had at halftime remains just that. As we head to the final 12 minutes at the Miami Arena, the Heat lead the Knicks by 2. Heat lead at 84-82 as Glenn Rice continues to help lead the way for Miami. He will start the 4th and final quarter getting a little rest. 18 first quarter points, but since then only 6. He's only attempted 5 shots. Patrick Ewing, on the other hand, for New York, only 2 points in that third quarter. But still the lead is 2 by Miami, and that's the numbers that count. Mason, the turnaround, doesn't get it. Haskins had it. Oakley whistled for the loose ball foul. That'll be 4, I think, on Oakley.
Loose ball on the Knicks, number 34, Charles Oakley, his 4th.
Oakley does have 4.
First.
See if Miami can go to Ronnie Cycli with this possession against Mason. He does have the size advantage. You get him down the low post.
Londo Blackman will check in for the Knicks. Cycli wheels and deals, doesn't get it. Sally is there for the putback.
Sally took off his glasses.
Well, actually, he's come in like 4 times. 2 times he's had him on, 2 times he's had him off. Now Doc Rivers taking off the sweats for New York.
See who's going to score with this group out on the floor right now for New York. It's got to be either Campbell or Starks.
Shot clock at 4. Mason goes baseline on Sally. Shot clock at 1. They just beat it. Don't get it to go. Askins fouled on the play. Askins, who already has 2 stitches in his head, just took one to the mouth.
See, the problem with that now is you've had 2 missed shots by New York, followed by 2 fouls, and we know how important it is to get to the penalty situation in the 4th quarter when you're trying to play good defense and get some stops. So Tony Campbell will now have to sit down with 5.
Here on TNT. Now, as far as our game, the Knicks and the Heat go, they are playing, but they've had power problems down there. The scoreboards are out. Last we had was 86-82 Miami over New York. We'll keep you updated on that, and we'll be right back after this. All right, Ernie Johnson back with you in our Atlanta studio, still trying to iron out the technical difficulties in Miami. We hope to return to the Knicks and Heat game in just a second. Right now, we're going to go back to Miami. It is a 5-point game. The Heat leading the Knicks as we go back to Ron Thulin and Doug Collins, guys. Good luck.
Thank you, Ernie. Doug had to run out, pay the power bill to Miami Power and Light, so we got our power back on since we were away. Miami has 6-5. Scoring run is technical foul on Patrick Ewing. He wanted the foul. It was 7:58. Miami leading by 5.
Patrick better be careful. He might get ejected here. Patrick, when he took the shot, Cycli got a piece of it. As he turned to run down the floor, he just stopped and started arguing with referee Ted Bernhard. So the technical free throw, and Miami will retain possession of the basketball. That's Glenn Rice's first point in a long time.
Third quarter. Doug, is Ewing frustrated? He had only 2 points in that third quarter. He has 17 points, 11 rebounds in the first half, 2 points, 2 rebounds in the second half.
Well, that's 2 shots that he's gotten blocked now by Cycli. Cycli has good lift, and he's gotten up twice now and bothered his shot. So I'm sure Patrick is a little frustrated at this point.
Shot won't go down. Starks elevated high for the rebound. Still loose. Ball belongs to the Knicks. 93-87 our score. 7:43 left to be played in the ball game. Once again, we do apologize for the slight delay, but power went off here in about 1/2 of Miami Arena.
You see, very interesting. New York is now going with a 3-guard lineup with Mason and Ewing on the floor. Charles Smith, after he picked up his 4th foul, has not returned.
Ewing over Cycli, doesn't get it. Cycli beats him down the court, but they don't get him the ball. Mason tries to cut off the baseline of Sally, and Anthony Mason will be whistled for his 2nd personal.
The fouls just continue to pile up for New York. The free throw line is the major difference in this game right now. If Miami is able to hold on and win, they do have a 6-point lead, but if they win, they can thank their opportunities to the free throw line.
Miami 29-37 from the line. Only 19 trips for New York. We've talked about Miami in close games. They have not been able to win the close games. Inside of 2.5 minutes when they've led or tied, haven't been able to put people away. Can they do it tonight? Blackman, that's a 2. Doesn't go. Rebound Smith. He's got Rice on the left. Sally streaking on the right, all alone. New York wants a timeout. As we look at tonight's Dutch boy in the paint.
Well, the thing that really stands out, look at Ronnie Cycli, 26 points and 11 rebounds. We've talked about Patrick Ewing after a big first half. Only 2 points and 2 rebounds in this half. So a good job defensively by Miami. They've done a good job of keeping John Starks quiet. He does have 10. but is averaging over 24 points a game his last 12 ball games.
Mason with the big monster slam, and Anthony Mason now with 14 for the ball game. Interesting note, although there's still a great deal of time left to be played, Miami has had more success though against teams 500 or better this year.
Well, they're 11-15 against teams 500 or better, and they're only 3-12 against teams below 500. So they've played much better against the better competition in the NBA.
Ronnie Cycli continues to add up votes for the Budweiser player of the game. Now Ewing wanting the ball, Cycli on his back. Shot clock at 10. Ewing the big step into the paint, and he gets only his second field goal of the second half.
You know, Patrick Ewing looks like he's a little gimpy on that knee. He does not have the great lift. As he's running up and down the floor, he's not running quickly. So maybe that leg is still a little sore from where he sat out last night against Golden State.
It also was about a 5-minute break when the power went out. He could have tightened up during that time. Smith for 3, doesn't get it. Ewing another rebound. He has 14 for the ball game.
This is crunch time right now. The last 5.5 minutes. We've got a 6-point game. Let's see if Miami can hold on.
Cycli got his hand in the face of Ewing again.
Kevin Lockery would like to see him continue to push the ball, get some easy scores.
Coles, no place to go, but we've got a foul. Well, he got a no man's land there, Doug.
Boy, he sure did. Memo Coles did the smart thing, though, Ron. He was in no man's land, and he tried to make a shot out of it. Normally, you don't get bailed out in that situation. A foul was called. Again, Charles Smith has been on the bench since he picked up his 4th foul. With about 2 minutes gone in the 3rd quarter, he has not gotten back into the ball game. He is one of their better offensive players. So Pat Riley now going with his defense with Starks and Blackman at the guards. And Doc Rivers, I guess, a 3-guard offense, Ewing and Mason. So Ewing will be the guy they'll go to now down the stretch.
We see the lack of O on the part of the New York Knicks, which some feel might be the big rap against them in a possible NBA championship. They are 3-11, the Knicks are, when their opponents score better than 100 points. And with 5:10 left to be played, Miami's going to score 100 points. 5 minutes left in the game.
Here again, Patrick Ewing, if they double team, someone's going to have to make an open shot. They do not want to leave Starks.
The 3 won't go down. Mason battles for the rebound. Has it slapped away. We have a whistle and a foul.
See, New York has 14 fouls, so Miami will shoot the rest of the quarter. That's only 2 team fouls against the Miami Heat, so they still have 2 more before New York shoots. So they're in a good situation. They can be very aggressive defensively. New York has to be a little more careful. The free throw line will not be kind to them if they commit a lot of fouls here in the last 5 minutes.
The Miami Heat, who lost only 13 home games last year here at the arena, have already lost 10 this year. Mason, another one. 17 or 16 for Anthony Mason, and the lead is 6.
Patrick Ewing will switch off of Cycli. He has 5 fouls, so Sally now will go into the post against Patrick Ewing. See if they can get the 6th one.
New York came in giving up only 94 points a game. We've got a whistle. 3-second call on Miami. Another turnover.
3 seconds call against the Heat. Knicks ball.
Still a lot of time left to be played.
Well, Miami's going to have to execute. I think they're going to have to get out on the open floor a little bit because New York's defense in the half court is going to be awfully difficult in the last 4 minutes.
New York has it. 14 on the shot clock.
Doc Rivers just jumped into the chest of Steve Smith trying to draw the foul. The referees would have no part of that, so New York does maintain possession.
Ewing gets position underneath. Cycli slaps it away, but there was a lot of contact with the body. That's only Cycli, or that's Cycli's 4th personal foul. So Cycli has 4, Long has 4. Foul trouble for New York. Ewing has 5, Smith has 4, Oakley has 4, Campbell with 5. Nice touch. Ewing only 5 points in the second half. How about that for free throws? Heat by 18, but they lead it by just 5. A little cleaning up underneath. Pat Riley trying to remain calm. Likely another rebound.
See if they try to go to Steve Smith or Glenn Rice in this possession. Glenn Rice has been very quiet. Steve Smith's made some big baskets.
Coles, the reverse. Just blew by everybody for his first field goal.
See, Ewing's got 5 fouls, so he had to back away from the play. Could really not go up to defend it. Bimbo Coles did the smart thing, took it right to Patrick Ewing.
You mentioned the Knicks. Their record right now is the same as it was last year at this time. Whistle and a foul. That'll be the third team foul. Here's Bimbo Coles again.
Well, watch him as he turns the corner. Patrick Ewing wants to come over, and he realizes, see, he's just got to back out of the way. He realized if he would have jumped, that Bimbo Coles would have jumped right into his chest and drawn the 6th foul. Still 3:39 remaining, plenty of time. But again, New York does not score easy points. Everything is a grinded out situation.
Both teams will be in the penalty. Ewing uses the left hand to keep Cycli away from him. And then he drops it down.
Back to the screen and roll. Bimbo Coles, Glenn Rice. Look for Steve Smith coming off the screen on the weak side.
Coles working on Blackman. Now Rice being guarded by Stark. Shot clock at 8. Coles again. The reverse. Ewing gets a piece of it, and he takes it right away. The Knicks could have an easy 2 for Mason.
Well, there's the speed of Anthony Mason. This man is, what, 6'7" and about 255 pounds, and he just sprinted by everyone down the floor. Well, Miami has been here many times this year, Ron. 101-98. It's a +3 now. Fourth quarter execution is a must.
New York on a 7-2 run. Shot clock at 7. Sally finds the open, doesn't get it, and he may be hurt.
Yeah, he rolled his ankle. He looked like he started to jump and stepped on someone's foot, so he'll shoot 2 free throws.
Next foul, number 25, Doc Rivers.
Well, Doc Rivers picks up his 3rd personal foul, and we're going to take a timeout as John Sally limps off the court. So 3-point Miami lead, still a lot of time left.
A little extra step, and in the NBA, they will not take that away from you.
Well, the biggest lead for Miami was 12 at 68-56. And since Miami took a 6-point lead in the first quarter, New York has tied the score 3 times. They cut the lead to 1 or 2 points on 7 different occasions, but New York has never led in this game. But a big night for Anthony Mason. 18-12 on the year. He averages 10-7. No fouls to give. Each team with 3 full timeouts remaining. And 2:39 left to be played.
At the line, Spider Sally.
Sally will be at the line to shoot 2. He is 80% on the year, 2 for 2 tonight. Foul trouble. Ewing with 5, Campbell with 5, Oakley and Smith with 4. Long, the only Heat with any noticeable foul trouble. Rice also has 4. The lead is 4, 2:35 left to be played. Cycli switches, Starks, blows by everyone. Wide open Anthony Mason. Rice could not keep up with him. What a move by Starks just to create that play, getting Mason open. He's 4 of 5 in the fourth quarter, and the lead is down to 2.
You know, Ron, this is the first time New York has surrendered 100 points in 4 straight games. It's the 4th straight game now their opponents have scored 100, so we'll see if they can come back and win this game tonight.
Cycli the off-balance shot, Ewing the rebound.
Under 2 minutes.
16 to go. As you mentioned, Doug, early on, 12 times in the last 2.5 minutes, or 12 times this year, Miami has lost a game in which they led in the last 2.5 minutes. Starks ties it up again at 102.
Did you notice the cheer from the crowd? There's a lot of New Yorkers down here in Miami, so the game on the line now. I'm surprised Steve Smith does not have the ball. This is a guy that is really the creator. Let's see if they try to get it into his hands. Trying to post up Doc Rivers.
The off-balance shot by Smith. He does draw the foul, and Pat Riley is mad.
Oh, Pat Riley is upset. They call the foul on, looks like Doc Rivers. That'll be 2 free throws.
That's his 4th. Daryl Garrison talking to Riley on the far side, and that'll send Steve Smith to the line. 75% on the year, just 1 of 2 tonight.
See, Steve Smith really is the guy that you've got to have the ball in his hands at the end of the game. Bimbo Coles brought it up the floor so they could not pressure Steve Smith, but you either got to post him or get him the ball so he can create an opportunity for either himself or one of his teammates, and he's had a lot of success posting tonight.
19 points for Smith, and Miami regains the lead. New York has never led in the contest.
Blackman now is a good three-point shooter as this starts, so if they leave him.
Whistle, a foul on Sally. It'll be a kick.
That was a good World Wrestling Federation move. That was a leg whip as Patrick Ewing tried to get around John Sally in the low post.
And Kevin Lockery up pleading his case. Kevin's one of the best at it. Daryl Garrison's not even listening. Now Ewing is combined with Anthony Mason to have 13 of New York's last 15 points. Ewing 5 of 7 from the line.
Patrick has not shot free throws as well this year as he's shot them in the past, only 71%. And both of those rather easily. Pressure now back on Miami to score on this possession. Again, Steve Smith's got to be a factor here. Glenn Rivers, Doc Rivers will be playing against him. See if they try to go to him again.
Fifth tie of the game. Rice finds the opening. The high archer won't go. Cycling had a piece of it. Tipped around. Doc Rivers comes down with it. New York can take their first lead of the ball game.
Have you noticed that Glenn Rice has not any open shots over the last 3 quarters? They've chased him off his shot and forced him to put it on the floor. He's not been allowed to get any of those floaters to go.
18 first quarter points for Rice. Outside, Blackman doesn't get it. Sally comes up with the rebound.
You know, that shot was not in rhythm. That was not a bad shot, but that was a shot that the man could not throw the ball in the post. It was more of an afterthought. Was not able to get his legs into it.
22-second difference between the shot and the game. The shot clock is at 7. Smith forces the jumper, hits the side of the board. But still, Miami should get the last shot. We're going to call a foul, and that'll be on Bimbo Coles. Is the basket going to go? I don't think so.
No basket. Team foul number 12, Bimbo Coles, his second.
Coles picks up his second. At the line, it will be John Starks.
There's the block. Now the continuation, he never came down. I don't know.
Never came down.
That shot should have counted, Ron. I'm sorry, but that shot should have counted.
It didn't. Starks, 2 rebounds total, both in the last minute. 2 big rebounds. He's 4 of 4 from the line, 15 for the night. Doesn't get it. Miami will call a timeout. 21.8 left to be played. They trail it by 1. New York's first lead of the game. We've got an exciting one in Miami Arena. Now let's go to a very exciting Ernie Johnson. EJ?
Gee, thanks, Stu, I think. Back here in our Atlanta studios, let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets for a second. Life is good for Alan Bristow's guys these days. Alonzo Mourning, their top pick, is playing great ball. Larry Johnson, a second-year man, the Rookie of the Year last year, makes the All-Star team as a starter. And the Hornets have a 4-game winning streak, courtesy of the Milwaukee Bucks tonight, as they played at Hive Drive. How do you stop the fast break? Look at that. Del Curry pulling on the pants of Fred Roberts. Alonzo Mourning with the follow. Makes it a 75-74 game. Hornets down by 1. Bucks maintain the lead. Anthony Avent inside. They're up 87-82, but then it's a 14-4 run by the Hornets. Keyed by L.J. Cool. Larry Johnson, 30 points on the night. Charlotte has won 4 in a row. They are 23-20 on the season now, and in playoff contention in the Eastern Conference. 118-111. Right now in Miami, it's 105-104. The Knicks with the lead, 22 to play. Back to Thu and Doug.
And the Knicks do lead by 1 with 22.7 left to be played. And Glenn Rice had the hot hand so early on. 18 first quarter points. Basically hasn't shut down since then. And here's a replay of Glenn Rice trying to get away from everybody.
Well, what they forced him to do is put the ball on the floor and come into traffic, get a hand
up in his face. He was 6 for 7 in the first quarter, had 18 points. Since then, he's 2 for 8 with 7 points. So the difference they've done on him, the excellent job of chasing him off that shot. A lot of the credit goes to Tony Campbell, who disrupted his rhythm early. Now Miami, with the last possession, opportunity to take the lead in this game, or at least tie if they can get to the free throw line, make 1 of 2.
New York has won 5 straight from Miami. Kevin Lockery talked today about in the final minute the confidence this team does not possess yet. He's hoping it will come back, and this is an opportunity to do just that.
Well, we've had some great ones on TNT. We got another great finish here.
Cole wheels. Rice, you better look up.
You better come help him. He's got a mismatch.
Sally loses the handle. New York has the basketball. Right into his breadbasket. Couldn't grab it.
They need to throw it in quickly to Blackman. No one's got Blackman.
And they foul him with 4.7 left. Threw it into the gut of John Sally. I'm not sure if he ever got a hand on it.
Now, there's still plenty of time, Ron. You know, if they make both these free throws, there's still plenty of time to get off a 3-point shot. But again, Glenn Rice, as he tried to back into the lane, the defense came over to give him good help. So he's trying to back down John Starks. Here comes Ewing, and the ball right through the hands of John Sally.
Roe Blackman, 0 for 2 tonight, 83% though on the year.
Boy, that looked like they hit a lot of rim.
Yeah. Well, with 4 minutes left, Bimbo Coles gave Miami a 7-point advantage, but New York has been on a 12-3 run since then. The only Miami points, 3 free throws. Blackman's got them both, so now Miami needs the 3 to tie. We've got 4.7 left to be played in the ball game. Let's head back to Atlanta again to visit with Ernie Johnson. EJ?
All right, Ron Thulin, the Philadelphia 76ers, Boston Celtics playing at Boston Garden tonight. A very emotional evening at the Garden last night. Larry Bird was honored. He was there watching tonight as the Celtics took on the Sixers, and Reggie Lewis was the man. He had 28 points. There you see a couple of wily vets, McHale and Parrish, and Kevin Gamble, one of the best shooters in the league percentage-wise. He's a 17-point lead for Boston in the third, but Philly comes roaring back. Clarence Weatherspoon all over Kevin McHale. Cuts the lead to 2, but the Chief takes command. Look at the 39-year-old play the passing lane, and he tiptoes home. Robert Parrish sparking a 12-0 Celtic run that put this thing out of reach. Boston wins it 105-93. Now let's go to another Atlantic Division collision. Back there in Miami, Ron Thulin and Doug Collins, guys.
Thank you, Ernie. 107-104, 4.7 left to be played. The only Knick lead has been the one they've got right now. They took it over at 105-104. A couple of more free throws by Roe Blackman gives them that 3-point advantage. And once again, Kevin Lockery talked about it, the close games in which they have lost 1 in 5 in games decided by 3 or less this year. But there's still 4.7 left.
When you look at 3-point shooting, Glenn Rice has 77 3-pointers on the season, 40% shooter. Bimbo Coles, 21 3-pointers, and you have Keith Askins, who has 12. So they have some guys who can stick the 3-point shot. Askins checking into the game, as is Brian Shaw. So really they have 5 threats on the floor to shoot the 3. Pat Riley's going to call timeout so he can talk about his matchups, what he wants to do to defend. Normally in this situation, when you have all small players on the floor, on any screen, you switch everything automatically and try to prevent the guy from coming off the screen and making an easy catch to take the shot.
We've got another timeout, still with 4.7 left. 107-104 is our score. We'll be back. (107-104), 4.7 left to be played. New York will go with Greg Anthony for the defense. John Starks, Doc Rivers, Anthony Mason, and Rolando Blackman. So they're going with almost a 4-guard lineup. Miami counters with Shaw, Rice, Smith, Askins, and Bimbo Coles.
Now, does New York take a foul if a little time goes off? Do they take a foul so a 3-point shot is even attempted? Or do they allow a shot to be taken? We'll have to wait and see.
Here we go. The final 4 seconds in Miami. Shaw is fouled. And only .9 ran off the clock.
Number 20, Rolando Blackman.
Rowe is whistled for the foul. Blackman. and they're in the penalty. So will Shaw make one and intentionally try to miss one?
Depending on how many timeouts Miami has.
Miami has one left. New York has one left.
Well, they're in a position here. They can make them both. Well, they're going to call their timeout now, so that means they're going to try to miss this one and set up a play to try to get the ball back. So with no timeouts remaining, they must make this last free throw. So we can speculate now that's what will happen.
Well, this 9 seconds is now up to about 5 minutes, but we still have 3.8 left. We'll be back. Pat Riley looking for win number 28 on the year, and the 7th of the last 8 ball games. He leads it by 2 with 3.8 left. Just a reminder, inside the NBA, Vince Cellini is standing by in our studios in Atlanta, and he will bring you up to date on all the scores and highlights from around the NBA this evening. That'll be immediately following tonight's game right here on TNT. So the Heat out with timeouts. Knicks now with 2 timeouts. They had a mistake there, so we said 1. It is now 2. And it'll be the same 5 we told you before for Miami. As Brian Shaw still has 1 free throw left.
Now remember, the ball has to hit the rim. So Brian Shaw first must miss it by hitting the rim. You see Doc Rivers has Askins face guarded, and John Starks has Glenn Rice face guarded. So let's see the play.
It hits the rim, goes right into the hands of Mason, and with 2.1 seconds, Mason grabs the rebound, and if he hits the free throws, probably will lock this one up for the Knicks.
You see the big bodies that New York had in the game. They had Oakley, Ewing, and Mason. I mean, you couldn't penetrate that front line trying to get a loose ball rebound. Look at it from up top. Yeah, look at the block out here, these 3 guys. Now Mason went exactly where he was supposed to go, right to the middle to block out the shooter, so the shooter could not step in and get his own rebound.
Well, Mason was quick in there because he beat Brian Shaw, even though Shaw was the shooter. So Anthony Mason will head to the line. 20 points, 14 rebounds tonight. He's 2 of 4 from the stripe.
Ron, one thing we should talk about, now the game is still not over. A 3-point shot now will
win it.
Will win it if he makes this one, if not a 2-pointer, but no timeouts remaining. But this is 8 of 12 games on the road now for New York. If they win this ball game, it would be a good start for their month of February and their hopes of putting together their chances to be a serious contender to win the NBA championship.
Trying to get the ball in. If 3's going to win it, they're not going to even get a shot off, and that's the way it will end. What a comeback by the New York Knicks. They trailed by as many as 12 in the basketball game. They trailed with 2 minutes left to be played, and they go on to win it. The final 108 to 105. Now let's go to Atlanta with Ernie Johnson.
All right, thank you, Thu. The Miami Heat have been a good luck charm for Pat Riley. When they played in December, the Knicks won, and it was Riley's 600th career victory. Tonight, New York wins at Miami, and Pat Riley is assured of coaching the NBA Eastern Conference All-Stars a couple of weeks from now. Let's run down the rest of the action on this Friday night. The Detroit Pistons fell at Cleveland as the Cavs won their 3rd.